Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 10 versus 10 on Kreide, and I'm going to be playing with the 101st Airborne Division. This game was absolutely crazy at the start, so definitely strap in, get your favourite beverage and enjoy this one. Let me have a look at what we're getting down here. So I've got a couple of MH47Ds, which are going to be bringing in the Green Berets. We've got Green Beret leaders in another, and then we've got two Chinooks here that are going to be carrying aero rifles, but these are going to be unloaded in favour of the M274 Mule, because the M274 Mule is airliftable. So it means it can go in a Chinook, which has the airlifter trait. So we're going to just drive that into the Chinook with the Stinger inside, and that will provide my AA for the airdrop that I plan to do with these Green Berets. We've also got a supply helicopter that's going to be following them to their location so that they can, maintain enough AT and AA to shoot anything that comes for them. But the plan is to drive or fly all the way around the backside of the cliff here, so that's what we're attempting to do today. The game is underway, and all of the aircraft coming out to support an airdrop on the right hand side. A really interesting combined airdrop here from both the German and US forces. F4Fs, Phantom F3s, got Eagles on the backside, I've got Eagles on the left. Loads of aircraft coming out of the start here. My Eagles going for the shot onto the Mi-8 MTA. We managed to shoot that down. We're also going to be attempting to take down a bunch of these Mi-8s with infantry in them, just so that we can whittle down some of the enemy forces early on. But 4 MiGs going to be coming out on the right hand side. 4 MiG-21s, we've got 2 Su-27s on the backside, even more MiG-21s coming out on the back here as they go for the kills onto these helicopters. But as long as they can get in there and capture this, that's the main thing that matters, because the land spawn is there and they will be able to call up some AA, but that's a lot of MiGs flying around in the sky there, even with 1 or 2 getting taken down. I did lose one of my own F-15s on the left side in the meantime. That crashed over here. It got clipped by some AA. But we're making good progress with the Chinooks, managing to get them right to the edge of the map here, and we're going to be diving down the left side of the map with the intention of getting close to the enemy spawn so that we can harass the units coming in and potentially find enemy FOBs and such, because we do have 2 KDA players on the enemy team today, so being able to shut down their FOBs or any AA that we find, or artillery that we find, sorry, would be fantastic. So supplies arriving on the edge of the map, that's going to be following us up. We have been spotted. You can see the OSA here driving over. Fortunately, we're able to stay low enough and fast enough to get behind the cliff here without taking any shots. Also, my Green Beret leader managed to land on Alpha, and that's given us the reinforcement route on the left-hand side here. But we're going to be focusing very much on my Chinooks getting into a good position on the back side of the map here. I think in a 10v10 this is not necessarily the best thing to do, because there are a lot of people who can notice this and a lot of people who can react to it, but it looks very cinematic as the Chinooks come up from the bottom there and are going to start to try and land, but we are going to end up bumping into a couple of Mi-24s with their AA, and they are going to be able to shoot down one of the important ones, probably one of the more important ones in this situation, which was the Chinook with the M274 with the Stinger inside. So we're going to try and get that unloaded ASAP so we can get the Aero Stinger down. In the meantime, I'm bringing up 2 Phantom 2s to engage the Mi-24s, because I've got to stop them from killing all of this infantry off. Now, unfortunately for me, the swarm of MiG-21s comes in and takes down my Phantom 2. My second Phantom 2 does manage to survive, so we're out with, 1 F-15 and 1 Phantom 2, which is fine. But the Chinooks here failing to get the stun on the Mi-24 means both of those are going to go down. I was really hoping that the minigun there would be able to save us a little bit from that helicopter. But the Green Berets here at least are able to take out 2 Shilkers on the backside, so that gives us some points in our pocket for our efforts here. And the Green Berets are going to be running into the cover of the forest. Now there is bombs coming in from the Su-24. Going to be lucky that that doesn't hit the Aero Stinger, because I'm going to need that Aero Stinger for what would likely be the counter to my forces here, which is the helicopters. So MI8 coming in, we do manage to hit one shot on target, but there's only one shot left on the Arrow Stinger. So this has to hit the mark, but then there's two more now coming in. So my push here is kind of doomed, but maybe we can take one more with us, and we do. Green Beret here, just hoping to get out of the way so that it can stay alive and potentially sneak around in their backline for the rest of the game. But unfortunately, that's not going to be, as the opponents do manage to find them, and that's going to be curtains for the Green Berets there. And the worst part in this situation is the MI8, it can't engage my Green Beret on its own because it's got to spot it and then it's got to engage it, but when it spots it, it's too close, so I'm able to then shoot it with the Green Berets. But there is going to be a second helicopter here that's going to be able to engage the Green Berets at the same time, and that is really bad for us because not only does it have the 30mm, it also has rockets, which you can fire without needing direct line of sight through trees. So yeah, the Green Berets now in a really, really bad spot as multiple enemy helicopters come in to clean them up. And so now I'm going to be focusing very much on recovering my position at this sector. So I brought in an M1IP Abrams. That's just going to be here rolling around, engaging enemy light armored vehicles. So we take out two Skrezets. I'm going to turn it so we avoid getting side shot by this ATGM. And then I'm going to back it up, and all is well. Teammates have managed to reinforce quite nicely on this left-hand side, whilst there was a lot of distraction going on in the backside. Teammates have managed to fully secure the right-hand side as well. So after all of those shenanigans at the start of the game, we have ended up with both of the side objectives, which is very important on Kreide because they are reinforcement points. So you can see there's a reinforcement road there and a reinforcement road here. So that gives us a lot of agency on the side of the map for the rest of the game. So I'm just going to be continuing to bring up more M1IP Abrams, as we will be able to do significant damage to this infantry as long as we continue to spot them. Nice Strike Eagle there, manages to kill a bunch of infantry in front of Jagdsource's Pioneers, so that was a lovely strike. But yeah, Abrams able to push forwards quite effectively. Just going to be a little bit careful of the Mi-24s here, but we've got teammates coming in with double track rapier, we've got double chaparral here, so I'm not too concerned that my M1IPs are exposed. Yeah, we just kind of roll forwards, get a good position on the far side of this sector, and then we're happy, because there's no point in us pushing too much further up here, because there's no sector for us to benefit from capturing, other than maybe Charlie, but that would require us getting through all of this tree line here. So overall, things going pretty well. Grimguy unfortunately crashed on us, so his forces are set up in the mid. It's just AI sitting there waiting to be attacked. On the right hand side, Nathan's actually got into a good position there, and it looks like that T-80UD is in trouble. And of course the fight over the city has begun, and that is a lot of smoke. There's some really interesting vehicles there. Those are the Cracker with the 20mm on them, I believe. Regardless, MH47D has come over, and we're going to sell that one off because it's damaged. But I used it to ferry the arrow rifles from spawn, because I left the arrow rifles behind, and you'll see me kind of ferrying them back to the front now that all of the initial airdrop has ended. Unfortunately for me, I'm going to get hit by the smash of the KDA, and my poor M1IPs aren't going to last. Two of them going down in this tree line. Aero scouts here though with the GSR trait going to be coming up, and getting them into a position on the top side of this forest would be fantastic, because the GSR trait, when they're stationary, gives them exceptional optics, so it would be fantastic recon for me to continue to use the Abrams potentially, although with them both dying there, I'm going to be changing my tactics once again. So we can see we've also got napalm coming down here, which is going to be a problem, and my arrow rifles here are catching a bunch of rockets, so things going, as they do for the NATO side. especially against double KDA. I think they've also got 9th in there as well, 4th and 9th with their RM70s. So we've got to watch out for those as well. But Apache ATAS is now going to be the unit of choice. It is very good in this situation because you can see that they have tanks and helicopters. And what does the Apache counter? Tanks and helicopters. It has stingers that it can use to take on enemy helicopters, and it has hellfires that it can use to engage enemy vehicles. So BMP-2 here going to be killed off by the hellfire there. And I was really hoping to get the second stinger on target of the Mi-24, but I wasn't able to. One thing you've got to be a little bit careful with in WARNO in general is when your units are attacking enemy units, particularly things like rockets or AA, they do change target to the unit with the least cohesion. So you have to make sure that you right-click the target you want, especially if you've only got like one unit. So in this case, like the Apache, if I had one stinger at the Mi-24 and because it hit, it changed target because of the low cohesion. So if you want to avoid doing that, you have to actually manually right-click the unit that it is initially targeting, and then it should be able to get out of there. But lovely hellfire from the Apache. Manages to kill the OSA AKN there. A little bit of a fire and forget job that was. Did a great job. I mean, technically semi-active, but they have like a terminal phase, so you know when they get towards the target, it's gonna just keep shooting towards it regardless. You know, poor Apache here is a little bit exposed, and MiG-29s are going to be flying overhead, get both of their R-73s on target, which was unlucky for me because the Apache ATAS does have 20% ECM. But both of the MiGs go down for the cost of my one Apache, so I'm relatively happy with the trade. And keeping at least one of these alive is important so that we can continue to put pressure on the Mi-24Ps that were invested in at the start of the game to deal with my Delta Force. We're just going to be getting this back here, and it's going to fly all the way back to the Feld Depot. It's going to fix up, and then it's going to head back to the front line. You can see here I did end up forgetting about these arrow rifles for a little bit, but they got a Chinook waiting for them when I finally moved them to the front line. At the moment they're not really too useful anyway, so it's not a big deal. I've just got a fresh Apache moving up on the left-hand side here to start harassing these T-80BVs. It's going to force them to smoke, which is good because you know they only have one charge of smoke. So if the opponent doesn't resupply that, then it does leave them very vulnerable to future strikes. So that's kind of what I'm hoping on here. But ideally, the whole idea is to build up some Apaches here that can overwhelm these enemy targets, so the Mi-24s, the T-80BVs, and it gives me a nice mobile force that is going to be able to defend pretty nicely, because helicopters are very good at a defensive role. When you can sit them behind your line of AA, they can sit there as like long-range ATGMs, and the only real way to deal with them is by like moving up man pads most of the time, because those are generally the things that can get close enough by sneaking through tree lines. In fact, here going to be lucky that his Apache didn't get killed off, but that's another MiG gone down for the enemies, so really nice for us that those air-to-air aircraft are getting taken care of. Big old push coming in. Mudschützen on the way. So these sorts of pushes are the way that you can sort of disguise getting man pads forwards. However, in this case, running across the open like that, in line of sight of a Kiowa with exceptional optics, we're going to see it coming. We're going to be able to get out of there. Now with that Apache landing, unfortunately, it did get taken out by the rockets. Supply dump getting spotted there, or at least the Apache landing was spotted. So got targeted by the artillery. Humvees with tow 2s now getting into position though, and just setting up defensively here whilst I recover as many units as possible. We're also going to be bringing up a couple of 155s. So these are towed 155s. The towed artillery is kind of interesting in WARNO because it's very cheap, good value for money, But it does require quite a lot of micro because you have to make sure that you shoot and scoot with them. And in this case, the best way to do so is by, you know, selecting all of them, right-clicking the transports, and then shift-clicking to where you want to go. Just like hold shift while you're doing all of that. So finally the Chinooks are coming forwards with the extra unit of infantry, because enemy infantry was coming forwards, so I thought we'd just head that off with my Apaches fixed up and heading back to the flank here. L-Arm trying to do its best to kill the Strellas on the left here, but that's not working out too well. It's going to be a good target for the artillery though, so just starting to fire those in that direction. Apaches on the flank here might have a chance to get a shot onto the Strela 10M. Now the Strela 1 I think has a shorter range than the Hellfire, but the Strela 10M has the same range. It's 2,825 and the Hellfire is 2,800. So Strela gets a little bit of advantage in that it can aim first. The only trouble is, if the Hellfire hits, the Strela dies in one shot. If the Strela hits, the Apache still survives. So that is the thing you have to watch out for. But yeah, this Strela 1, it's only got 2,650 meter range, so you can outrange it with the Apache. That's always something to note with Apaches, is they have a very long range ATGM. And so taking advantage of that is half the course, really. My Abrams here, though, able to get a really nice flank on here. So there's a bunch of tanks down here, but because of the way that we're up on this ridge, he's moved his Strelas out into the water so that he can engage the Apache. But my Abrams here is able to get shots on without being exposed to the T-80s. So that's working out really, really nicely. Strike Eagle manages to get the bomb onto the Strela 10M. My Apache was having a go. Unfortunately, the Afghansky was just stunning my Abrams, so the Abrams had to back off. But now both of the Strela 10Ms are dead. It leaves a lot of this stuff on the left side vulnerable, so we're going to be able to push in there with the Apache. You can see I had the Eagle hanging out to cover us in the skies as well, because you know, the next thing that they're going to do really is try and dive the Apaches again with any aircraft they have left. But hanging out on this left-hand side was really, really cool. And definitely enjoyed playing around this. It's not really a thing that I do very often, playing with helicopters like this. Like, very much focusing on helicopters, at least. And so, yeah, I was hoping to get some good kills here, but most of it's backed off, so we're not going to push forwards unnecessarily. We're going to keep all of these Apaches together and just use them all in one group. Because as I mentioned before, with enemy AA, if it hits you and it lowers your cohesion, then it's going to target something else. And so if you have another unit next to you, then it's going to fire at that next rather than shooting at the same target twice. And that's why when you have bulk units in WARNO, it's much more effective, because they kind of spread their fire against all of the units on the enemy, or on the opposing side. So you can really take advantage of that in this game. And the Apaches having to back off, as I mentioned before, Iglas are a great way to sneak forward with AA and shoot down Apaches. So there's a group of 4 Iglas there getting their shots on target. Unfortunately, I'm also going to lose my Chaparral to the Kokon of the MI-24, so that wasn't great. But my M1IP going to join me on the beach here. I've got my own Kaya with the exceptional optics, so we can keep an eye on the Iglas. Because what we're going to have to do is use the Abrams here to drive around the corner, kill off the Iglas for us, and then I can move the Apaches back forwards again to engage the armor. Now, all the while that this is happening, we are just seriously distracting the enemy from making any ground. And it's giving us opportunities to kill units like these Books and the Osas that are actually moving up to kill my forces. Now, in the middle of the map, Grimguy's AI didn't last too long, and Sathor decided to push forward, so we are losing to a +2 for the enemy. But teammates starting to try and deal with that, at least. So Igla gonna be engaged by the Bradley. M1IP takes out the Osa. Now we're looking for the kill onto the Book. We managed to take that out as well. and we're going to start pushing up on the Skrezettes. The M1 IPs today were actually doing a fantastic job of actually hitting their mark. You can see they're on the move, we're killing the Skrezett. One nice thing about the M1 IP though is it does have 60% motion accuracy, so it's not like it's bad. But yeah, the main thing here is just to make the book leave, and then we can push forwards quite happily with the Apaches, especially the Apache ATAS that should be able to take out the Mi-8 MTs. Now, Phantom Eagle do manage to take out another MiG-21, and it's important that we do continue to try and kill those MiG-21s because they can obviously dive the Apaches pretty well. We've got triple Chaparral on the way. That's hoping to take care of a lot of these aircraft because the Abrams getting absolutely smashed at the moment by rocket fire. But Apache looking to try and get Stingers on target, just needs to stop fire. Also using its Hellfire to try and engage the Skrezett. We managed to take out the Mi-24 with the Stinger, and now the Apache is hoping to hit the Hellfire, but we're going to have to back it up as the two Strela 10Ms are on the way. Now, unfortunately for me, both of my aircraft do end up going down. The F-15 died and the Eagle as MiG-21s come out of the spawn, and we end up getting hit by a lot of the AA that's being brought up here. And this is kind of starting to be a little bit of a problem, you know, just the sheer amount of AA that the opponents are putting in onto this left-hand side is making it pretty difficult for me to use the Apaches constantly. But the main thing here is just, I've got to try and keep my Chaparrals alive. Napalm's going to come in and kill my Humvee again. But we're just going to back it up with the Chaparrals, back it up with the M1 IP that's damaged. And Green Beret here getting shot at by enemy artillery. My own artillery is still firing away, by the way. We're kind of trying to help out a little bit in the middle of the map with a couple volleys here and there. So these work, you know, going to work whilst I was also paying attention to this left-hand side and trying to get the Apache's value. It's at this point where I realise the opponents have invested so much AA in this left. So why are my helicopters still here? What I can do is I can bring them over to the middle of the map, where they're likely to be a lot more effective supporting all of these forces pushing into Echo, because it's only probably this Strela and Kub, and that's about it. So there's a chance here for the rockets and the Hellfires to get a lot more work done than just like running directly into AA at this point. So I'm just going to get the Chaparrals back into more defensive positions. We're going to have the M1 IP resupply on the M561 supply goats. These are really just funny vehicles. I mean, the fact, like, look at that. It's so ridiculous. Anyway, Abrams should get fixed up. That'll give me 2 Abrams here to help defend. We got the Humvee TOW2s in position, so that's okay. Just gotta swing my Apaches over here and help re-secure Echo. And in doing so, we will push ourselves back to A+2. We of course do need to get rid of the T-72 in this sector, but that is in a very precarious position at the moment, especially with all of those TOW2s flying towards it. And down it goes. And that will give us the sector back. Chaparral, unfortunately, unable to kill the MiG-21. So that is going to get away with it. But enemy team starting to bail on the game, which is going to make things quite a bit easier for us. And there goes my artillery. So you can see that I'm just picking them up every single time, moving them afterwards. We'll do like a shift unload, and then I can, you know, fire them again. In this case, I just wanted to unload them to make sure I'm killing the Strela here and the Kub, so that the Apaches that are lining up on the backside here with the Kiowa can get the job done. And making sure that you do have like recon like the Kiowa with your Apaches is super important, so never neglect that. Unfortunately for me, over on this side, yep, there is quite a lot of stuff dead here as we do get hit. All of my supply vehicles get blown up. One of my Abrams is very, very damaged. The other one does survive, like it did move forwards preemptively, but just so much stuff got killed on the backside there. Nice cluster strikes coming in here from Flammen. Look at that. Absolutely juicing the push here coming in from the boss. And that Apache is going to be able to clean things up with the Hellfires once the smoke clears. One more like that and we're dead. Now, since the team had already got the job done here, I'm going to be switching back to the left. The boss after that push is going to throw in the towel. So now we're going to be focusing on this push coming through. So the Apache's in a very, very good position to engage a lot of these units because the AA is mostly just the Shilka here, which only has, again, 2,650 meter range versus helicopters, which is outranged by the Hellfire. So if I can kill the Shilka, then I'm all good, but to be honest, we might as well just be killing the T-55 AM2s, 125 points apiece, and they're getting easily sideshot by these Hellfires. So that works out very, very nicely, helping Leopards, the Axor's Leopard 185s to do the job. So we cleaned that up nicely. T-55s getting absolutely wrecked. And that's the entire push gone there. So we're going to fly back to base. And we're going to get resupplied on those Hellfires. The artillery is also firing away. This was engaging any units that were backing up into this tree line. So as we were pushing in with the Apaches and they're falling back, we just put the artillery behind them and we get the kill there. So that worked out really, really nicely. So some solid helicopter play so far. Unfortunately wasn't able to get too much work done with the M1 IPs because of all of the enemy rocket artillery and such that was coming in throughout the game. But now going to be bringing in some more. Like since the chap who was playing with KD8 surrendered, we're going to be able to have a little bit more freedom using the Abrams. So I'm now bringing in a big blob of them as I was floating. Main reason I'm floating at this point is because I'm focusing so heavily on microing the Apaches, but the Apaches are getting good value, so it's absolutely fine. In this case, I probably should have moved these before, like after they moved, but I obviously forgot to queue the order. It's always important that you queue the orders with these. Again, so you select both your artillery and your transport, so you hold shift, you right click your transport, and then you right click where you want them to go. And by doing that, they will automatically load up into their transport and move to where you right click afterwards. So a bunch of tanks coming up now, the T-72M1, the BMP-2s. So we're hoping to get the Abrams here into position to engage all of this. Lots of BMPs to kill off. The Humvee's also going to be moving up with their TOW-2s. Got to be a little bit careful here with the Abrams because the Conkers is still pretty deadly, especially cohesion-wise. If we get low cohesion and then we end up getting stunned or routed, then we might show side armor, and that's when you lose units very, very quickly, particularly high-value units. So Abrams finally hitting the mark there on the BMP-2. Seed coming over, MiG-27s. Got a couple of Su-24s on the way as well. You see my artillery going to be firing, loading and moving away. So if I hold shift on them, you'll notice they got a fire position order, they got a load order, and then a move order.
Yes, sir.
So now we've got rocket artillery coming in, both napalm and standard rocket artillery. So I'm going to have to be forced to push forwards here. This Abrams, obviously very low, do manage to pop its smoke. We're able to pin down the Mudschuts in there and take them out with the machine gun, so that works out quite nicely. But in a really, really tough spot right now, because I need to try and kill off these BMP-2s, otherwise they're just going to keep hitting the Abrams, and the Abrams on low cohesion are going to continue to miss. So, yes, particularly like a T-72S here is very, very dangerous, because that's also a very good tank with 60% accuracy. But yeah, just trying to back it up here, get around the side of the napalm so that we don't lose those for free. And then as soon as the napalm clears, we should be able to back up with the Abrams. Still making sure to smoke and back up anyway, even if they're getting low, but with T-80BV coming in there as well, it's ready time to go. Now the Apache is going to be coming up. Ideally these would have been here whilst we were having that engagement, but with all of these units kind of overextending here, we should be able to get some good Hellfires on target to break down a lot of these units. The main thing is just don't overextend. because we don't know where their AA is. Nice kill onto the T62MB on the right hand side there. Apache is now going to be engaging the Mi-24V as well. Chaparral ends up taking that down. We did manage to take out the T-80 on the ridge. So some good kills from the Hellfires again. And a lot of my Abrams are still alive. You know, all of those Abrams that were targeted by that rocket artillery, look at this tree line. They're still actually okay, so it worked out in the end. In the middle of the map, things have recovered. AI's taken back their positions with the help of our team, Bird and Yagged and Nathan in there. Good stuff indeed. A really nice swing shot there actually from the Apache, the Hellfire getting on target of the T-55. Beautiful stuff. Apache looking for the Shilka kill before it gets too close. We'll manage to find that as well. So a large amount of supply here. It's like a forward supply dump from Flommen. Just going to use that to get our Hellfires back up and all of the Abrams fixed. This one, of course, should be backing up a little bit there so that it can be repaired. But amongst all of these, when I'm zoomed out, I'm not going to see the health on that. So you can see, like, the air rifles there, kind of covering the name of the Abrams. And that's why I probably wasn't fixing that at the time. Anyway, Apache on the left here, still trying to get shots on target, but since it gets stunned by the Strela 10M, that's going to have to fall back. Lucky not to get hit a second time there. But what we can do is we can, of course, move forwards with the Abrams now and engage the Strelas potentially. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do. Apache ATAS, meanwhile, on the right-hand side, going to work with its study mill onto the Fallschirmjäger, and also still engaging with the Hellfires. On the backside here, not using the artillery as much. So kind of focusing on getting all of these units back online. Enemy AA there in the tree line, going to be hard to spot. So I'm just trying to get the Kiowa in line of sight of whatever that would be. We're going to get the rockets on target, kill the Mutchudson. Not going to have enough left to finish off the Fallschirmjäger. But Abrams now pushing up aggressively towards the T-72Ss. Oh, because these only have 2,100 meter range, what I should be doing is just staying out of range of those. But we do have the Apache here that can help with the Hellfire, so that should certainly swing things well in our favor. And I can just sort of retreat any that are getting low. This one routing anyway. Su-22 fortunately not hitting its KH-29 onto the M1IP. Now the T-72 goes down though. And that's good stuff indeed. Look at all this rocket artillery on the backside, it's crazy. Oh, Strela 10M. Almost taken out. Because it was firing at one, I'm able to shoot at it with the other. And unfortunately in this case, you know, we don't get the kill, so I'm going to try and ride up with the Abrams. But with the T-72 there, I can't really just continue to drive up and show side armor, so I'm actually kind of stuck in that engagement. We're going to have to smoke off, get out of there. As T-80BVs arrive. We're swinging the Humvees into position here. Try and help out. I'm also going to smoke out because the MiG-27 coming up here. This one in a really bad spot. Do manage to smoke that as well. Abrams doing a run out around the corner here. Actually pretty good that this is in position because it's kind of able to get side shots, or it's forcing the enemy tanks to face in this direction whilst we're getting side shots from these ones. So for example, this M1IP I think managed to side shot the T-80BDK. That worked out really nice. And again, Apache going to work. A lot of this is AI now, so the Apache's just getting free kills with the Hellfires. It's always cool to watch those Hellfires hit the mark though. Now Humvee tows Almost getting shots onto the Strela 10M, but not quite because of all of the rocket artillery coming in there. At least this Abrams is still good to go, and we're kind of cycling the Abrams backwards and forwards now. Not too long till victory. Yeah, we're still on the +2 across the board. On the right hand side, things haven't really gone anywhere in the city. You know, the team just kind of sat up on the ridge now. I actually quite like this map for 10v10 because of the way that it works out here. There's not too many like high value points in the middle of the map, and therefore the games do last quite a bit longer because of that. But really nasty rocket artillery coming in now. My Humvee leader just about manages to escape, but one of my tanks did end up going down. The M1 IP here manages to survive all of the supply dump being absolutely smashed to pieces. But both of my Apaches here survived. This Apache's still good, so we're just using my own supply over on the left side now, which is triple Chinook. We're going to move back over and engage a lot of this infantry. The Abrams on this side are continuing to put pressure onto the T-72s. So we're getting a lot of kills in. More T-55s are going to get taken out. Just got to be a little bit careful coming up this ridge, but if I could take out something like this Cub, that would be fantastic. Just gonna roll up onto the tree line here. Bunch of T-80s still hanging out. We can see the Cub there, so that's a potential free kill. Got to maintain line of sight. I am all the while microing my Apaches back. The Chaparrals, they're managing to kill one of the MiG-27 seeds, so that was great. MiG-21s hanging out, got to be careful of those. Can't really push forwards the Apaches whilst those are hanging out because they will just dive the Apaches for the kills. I'm hoping at least maybe this Abrams can get some shots onto these T-80s. Going to end up bumping into an Igla there, but that AT hitting the mark is not ideal. Apologies about the driver crash there. The M1 IP ends up going down. That's unfortunate. The M1 IP continues to engage units on the flanks. Apache comes back to get resupplied in the meantime. But 2 minutes, 3 minutes till victory. Got to get these fixed up. So more helicopters on the way. Because there's just so much infantry here, I just figured, you know what, we'll just use the MH60 DAPs and the Heavy Hogs to deal with those, because these are perfect for killing infantry. They're particularly good in sort of cities, so where you have like high rises to hide behind and such, the DAPs are really good because they have like double minigun and the autocannon as well as the rockets. So you kind of want them to be a bit closer. It's kind of like using little birds. They need to have the cover to use them effectively. And we're able to get the Heavy Hog on target here at least. The Kiowa coming up as well there to try and spot the AA. Vector's just pushing over now with all the arrow rifles. And it turns out it's just a bunch of Strela 2Ms. And also all of these SPW 152Ks, so Vector's little play there at the end, not the best idea. But maybe got caught out by the driver crash as well. Regardless, onwards we go. Abrams climbing up that hill very nicely. Shifting over to help out in this situation. You can see here the DAP hovering at lower altitude able to get some good shots on target. So able to take out the AA here at closer range. But the Joker does get its shots on target. And able to kill off the Kiowa and the DAP at the end there. Yeah, things coming to a close. Everybody just throwing all they have at each other across the board. That is going to give us some extra kills. The Chaparrals managed to take down one of those Su-25s. Apache hanging out further back just to clip any vehicles that might come out onto the flanks here. But in the end, only 3 Abrams, M1IP Abrams left on the left-hand side. We still have like one normal Apache, one Apache ATAS. And my artillery on the backside here. Still alive as well. Look at that view. It's that ridge in the distance. Just completely on fire. Like, oh, that's where we're firing, boys. That target over there, it's pretty obvious. Very cool. Alright, well, that's 5 seconds left. We did manage to kill one more TATBV there. The Apache's just kind of getting 3 hits on target. But there you go. Victory. After 40 minutes and 25 seconds, I ended up with 8,510 kills to 4,970 losses. So, a lot of kills. Did lose quite a lot of stuff in the process. But a really solid game with a really fun opener. So many aircraft. And also, you know, helicopter play after the fact, which was really, really fun as well. Like, check out this Apache ATAS here. Not only is it killing like an MO-24P, but the Hellfires are hitting the mark very nicely. There's just so much stuff going down. Really, really good. Really, really good. What's that friendly fire? 155 mil. Taking out a friendly engineer. Oops. Alrighty. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.